All right, first guest on the new platform, ladies and gentlemen. And personally, I think this is the best way to roll. And it reminds me of being on Twitter a couple of months ago. And the great Alexander Lee from MMA Fighting had asked a question to people wondering who are some of the fighters that everyone needs to be aware of, not just because of skill set in the cage, but talking about personality, confidence, charisma. And I immediately thought of this man who's going to take on Donald Cerrone in a little over a week in Brooklyn, New York, the first event on ESPN Plus. We got Alex Hernandez here. Alex, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, brother. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for jumping on so close to the fight. Now, one of the things I enjoy about mixed martial arts is that things can change very quickly, can't they? I mean, you were scheduled to face Francisco Trinaldo, and then all of a sudden, MMA Junkie comes out with the report that you're fighting Donald Cerrone in Brooklyn, New York instead. How did this all happen, and when were you made aware of this audible that was
And
called?
it's hilarious how that shit works too, right? Because I feel like I find out the official word when everybody finds out. I always joke with my friends, like a little bit of, I guess, TMI, but I'll be on the shitter like in the morning scrolling through Instagram, and I'll see like my face tagged with some other guy, some other asshole's face, and it's like, oh, that's my new opponent. Like I figure I find out sometimes like the same way everybody else does. But we first got the news. It was like Thursday night or something, 6 weeks out of the Trinaldo fight. I just wrapped up practice. And my manager had dropped a few texts to me, call me ASAP, and that's either going to be really good or really bad. And so, I hurried up and called him when I was finished up training. And he shared the news that Shelby brought to him. He approached him about the option for Cerrone. And it was Cerrone in Brooklyn on the inaugural ESPN card. And of course, just heart went through the roof. I was ecstatic. And my manager says, Jason House, he's like, go ahead and call your head coach, Jason Yarrington. I've got like an entourage of Jasons on my team. And he's like, go ahead and give him a call and, run it past him, see what you guys think. And I'm like, fuck that, we're good. Lock it in. So he did the damn deal for me, and we got locked in. Or, I mean, there's about like a 24, 48-hour period of like a limbo where you're kind of sitting there anxiously waiting. And that's the real unsettling part, because the thought of going from, and no disrespect to Ronaldo, but the thought of going from Cerrone in Brooklyn back to Anaheim with Ronaldo would have been a pretty big demise in my mind mentally. So that would have been a roller coaster ride. But shooting up to Cerrone was an easy climax that I could jump on board with and just get even more fired up for. So it worked out really well. And like I said, I kind of got the final word around the same time I feel like everybody else did. But yeah, it was an awesome opportunity that we had to seize.
No disrespect to Francisco Trinaldo, but clearly with Cowboy's name, what he's been able to accomplish in the sport, this is obviously a better opportunity to shine here, and it worked out great for you. But after getting the knockout over Dariush, beating Olivier Aubin-Mercier, were you a little bummed that they offered you Trinaldo and not someone ranked a little bit higher in the top 15?
You know, I was petitioning for like a Gaethje or a Pettis type fight. They both were available at the time, and for whatever reason, uh, it wasn't happening. There was a lot of talk about it. It seemed like it might happen. Um, I don't know. I don't know what takes place in the back behind the veil always. But I'm always open for anyone. And so I was trying to petition for the higher shot. I got Trinaldo. He was the only guy that was available in the rankings at the time whenever Shelby's kind of like going through and kind of giving some options. I'm like, well, I mean, if that's the only fucking guy that you're going to give me that's available in the rankings, let's take him. And I think Trinaldo is equally and maybe even more dangerous than Cerrone in my mind, to be honest. Cerrone's just got a huge name, and that legacy is going to propel my career. And so I got fired up about the Cerrone fight, of course, but the Trinaldo fight, I was for the time I was very excited for as well. I wasn't disregarding him, and it certainly was approaching that camp like I do every day of my life, extremely seriously. So.
So you would come out, you weren't overly thrilled with your performance against Aubin Mercier in Calgary. Personally, I thought your performance was fantastic. The pressure you were able to show throughout that fight was outstanding. And come that third round, I thought you were just as energetic as you were in the opening seconds of that fight. And it's been a bit since that fight happened. Has your tune changed at all in regards to that performance?
Yeah, it wasn't even necessarily as much the performance as it was the mental games I was playing with myself that I thought I'd kind of overcame and gotten past. So I just sort of I spent too much time in my head that fight, to be honest, and I didn't really unveil the potential that I had. I felt like I could have finished Mercier a number of times had I had a little bit more wit about me, if I would just stop fighting myself so much and focus on combating Mercier, I feel like that fight could have gone a number of different ways, greater in my favor. And so I was just I was just scrolling my performance, being a perfectionist and being the most screwed person that I know for myself. And, looking back on it though, yeah, it was an excellent growing experience. I got to show some other skills. I got to go the distance, 14 extra minutes in that cage. It was like a world of experience. So, it was good. It was good. This one will be much better.
Looking at the card in Brooklyn and the lineup, can I be honest here? The fact that you and Donald are fighting on the prelims, this is just ridiculous to me. In fact, I can't remember the last time Donald Cerrone fought on the prelims. I mean, Greg freaking Hardy making his debut is the co-main event. I mean, I just don't get it.
That's a joke, yeah.
How do you feel about not being on the main card? Does it even matter at this point?
No, I don't care at all, man, because I feel like we probably got the better draw, and I think that's what the UFC is looking at also. And I don't know if I'm incorrect in saying this, but I believe we're on the actual ESPN portion, and then they kind of go to like an ESPN Plus or like some kind of a pay-per-view side payment draw that maybe isn't even pay-per-view. I don't understand it, but I know that we probably are going to get the most viewership and the most eyes on, the most airtime, and so I think it's fucking awesome. Really, I'm not worried about it at all. I'll have a little bit more night to my day, to liven up afterwards. So it's no big deal.
Like we've talked about, Cerrone's a legend. He's dropping back to 55 for this one. It's been sort of an up and down run for him as of late, and we see this quite a bit in our sport where you have these young up and coming guys and gals, kind of like yourself, and the organization will match up the up and comers with some big names, with legends to help with that push. If the legend wins, cool. If the newer fighter wins, then we could push him to the moon. Is that what you see here with this matchup? Do you think the UFC is positioning you in that way to get a nice push in that division?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cerrone just came off that huge win against Perry, which is fantastic. Works great in my favor, I believe. And I think the UFC certainly sees that as an opportunity that we've got this guy who's just fucking keeps sticking around and people love to see, and he's a household name and legacy. And you've got someone like me who is on a tear. I feel like aside from the UFC, I'm just a tear. I'm on a tear in life, and I'm only on the crescendo. And so Cerrone is just another step in the staircase in my path to the top. And I'm not. I believe that the UFC just kind of shares the same vision that I have as far as seeing myself as the future, and that's not even to be cocky. That I think it's just facts.
I'm sure I already know the answer to this from talking to you a couple of times, but I'll ask it anyways. Since you train all the time and you don't really stop, does anything change in terms of preparation? I mean, you're getting ready to fight Trinaldo. Now you get Cerrone. Did anything change for you at all in this camp?
Maybe some target points that I might aim for. There's a height difference. I'm extremely adaptable, and I constantly stress self-evolution. And so for me, I'm eager to show up to the gym every single day, and I'm just a student in the game. Like you said, I train all the time because I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, I don't have any side distractions. When I get tired of being in the gym, I go train outside, and vice versa, and that's just what I do. And so I'm constantly trying to exploit weaknesses in my game, and I'm constantly trying to evolve strengths and again, also weaknesses. And so going from Trinaldo to Cerrone is simple. Maybe I throw more of this shot than that shot. Maybe I set this up instead of that. But the artillery's all there. We just kind of load certain guns a little heavier than others.
One of my favorite moments doing interviews last year was you giving your prediction for the OAM fight. We clipped that one part, put it on social media, and people went bananas over it, especially the gorilla F line that you laid out there. So to keep with the tradition here, how are you visualizing this fight next Saturday night in Brooklyn with Donald Cerrone ending? Like, lay it out for us.
I'm going to fold him within 2 rounds, and that's being extremely respectful. In my own mind, if I'm just being honest with myself, I know I will wrap him up in 1 round. I know I said it before, but God, I see it so vividly. I will fold him. I will humbly say 2 rounds. I truly believe I can get done in 1.
Your mentality with your UFC career, at least during the times we've chatted, is, I want someone ranked higher than me next. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. I want someone ranked higher. I don't want to go backwards. So if all goes well in Brooklyn, you'll be carrying a much bigger stick, in my opinion. Plus, you'll have a microphone in your face more than likely. And if you're on ESPN, that's even better. And I know you're hoping for that fight with Justin Gaethje like you talked about, and it didn't come together. Is that where you'll be swinging again, or do you have somebody else in mind if all goes well next week?
No, I don't care about any of these guys particularly. That guy just happened to be available at the time, and he happened to be ahead of me. I don't name pick or name drop anybody because I feel like that comes from a place of doubt. That's like, I want this guy because I think that my strengths play to his weaknesses. I think my strengths play in favor for me against everybody. I think everybody's got a weakness in my mind, and so I feel like name dropping is kind of, it stems from a place of doubt. I'm not deriving any doubt whenever I call people out. I'm just calling what happens to be in front of me. And if that guy's in front of me, then that's who I'll take next. If not, put anybody in front of me. I don't give a shit about the style or the size, the shape. I just want to continue the climb. So it doesn't matter. Cerrone's this, and then really it's also subjective after that. Let's just put Cerrone away. Let's see where the media takes me. I don't care.
Before we wrap up here, I saw some video that you opened up a gym. I mean, I saw ribbon cutting ceremonies and all of that. I mean, that's a really big deal. So talk about your gym, where it is, and how this all happened.
Man, I appreciate that. So yeah, that's super exciting. I opened up a gym in San Antonio, and it's just another gym off of where I train out of Ohana Academy. We just call this one Ohana Academy Northeast because of its location in the city. But it's all Ohana, and there's 3 schools now in the city, and we all train. We can all train interchangeably within each other, the students and anybody coming in. And so, yeah, that's a really exciting chapter, too. I personally don't spend any time worrying about management, books, or anything. My father, who's a co-owner, worries about the numbers. My head coach, who's a co-owner, worries about the structure. I'm merely the image, and I make sure that the checks are balanced, and that's it. Again, I'm focused on one thing and one thing only.
How's it been sort of balancing, being a fighter and, being a business owner at the same time? Is it just, having those people in your corner, having your dad has just made life a little bit easier for you?
Yeah, business as usual. It's all the same. I've been in the business world before, and again, I'm not concerned with anything about it. I'm happy about the gym. I'm happy about the shit that happened in 2018, but I really don't care about any of it. I'm just constantly looking forward, and I really don't slap my own ass on a good year. I don't care. It's just constant progression. I really don't think twice about what we've already accomplished. We're just constantly trying to build bigger buildings, bigger structures, and connect them with bigger bridges. And so, onward.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations, and thank you as always, man. Before we get out of here, let the folks know where to find and follow you on the web. Any shout-outs, anything at all you want to say that we haven't touched on yet, please take the floor.
Thank you, Mike. So, Ohana Academy Northeast, any of the Ohanas, my head coach, Jason Yarrington, John O'Rourke, my pad man, we call him Handjob. He wraps his hands with pads. My spirit animal, another cornerman, Jason Kilgore, my strength and mobility. Stratton Sporn Spines, my handyman keeps me right. I got Farm to Juice, my juicers, CBD news source, Sun Up out of Austin, Gainsbreaker for the meals, and I think I just about covered everybody. Yep, and then of course I'm at the Great 155. Please take the time to check out my new vlog and to credit my super committed friends from day one, Andrew Martinez, my camera guy and film person, and my director, Ben Phillips.
Oh, but I have to ask you about something because it just popped into my head. I know you were on with Ariel yesterday, and I haven't listened to the interview. Normally, I'm listening to all this stuff, so I'm not redundant or anything, but I haven't heard it. But I did see you tweet out that you lied about a story, about a note on the fridge. Can you elaborate on that a little?
Yeah, I'll talk about that real quick. People keep bringing up the note that I wrote myself from the year prior, and you can certainly find that story. I posted about it on my Instagram and things, and I'm almost getting sick of talking about it, but yeah. So I had this note that I wrote myself, and Ariel was talking about it, and so he was going on oh, and so do you keep this note in front of you, and then do you have it? I was like, yeah. And he's like, and then do you probably hang it somewhere? And at the time, truthfully, I had just taken maybe a 15-minute little power nap on the mat right here next to me, and opened my eyes and answered this call, and I think I was just being a little too tired and agreeable in the moment. And I told him, as brief as it was, I didn't have the words to explain why it's unimportant to hold something that's seemingly significant like that. And so in the conversation with Ariel, I had said, I keep it on my fridge. And truth be told, I don't know where the fuck that note is. I got no clue. It doesn't matter. It's on my Instagram wall. I don't know where the note is because it doesn't matter. Because who gives a shit about what I've already done? It's time to write new notes. It's time to write new goals. And then I made the joke, like I've even got magnets. I'm a single guy in the apartment. I don't have any of that shit. So yeah, I was just I thought about that later on in the day, and it bothered me. So I felt the need to do what I normally never do and hit the Twitter.
There we go. And we clarified it up here for everybody to see as well. So appreciate it, Alex. All the best to you next weekend in Brooklyn against Donald Cerrone, man. Thanks for the time as always.
Thanks so much, Mike. Appreciate it.